Welcome back, YouTube. Today we're going to do something a little bit differently because if you haven't heard, there's been a lot of drama related to Nijisanji and the termination of Selen. There was this video that was recommended to me to get me up to speed about it, so I thought we'd give it a watch. Before we get into it, leave any other recommendations for videos or channels down below and consider liking and subscribing or joining the Discord. But without further ado, let's get into this.
So, you know when a situation gets to a point where it's so catastrophic, people start saying the phrase, "I hope this gets taught at universities so that it never happens again"? Well,
I have never heard that phrase before.
What's been happening in the Nijisanji and Selen Tatsuki situation, or better yet, incident. Because when I say that this is catastrophic, I don't mean to say it just in regards to VTubing. No, I say this in regard to the entire internet. Because this is one of the biggest cases of corporate mismanagement I've ever seen in my life.
True.
We're talking about a management team that didn't do anything about internal bullying and harassment and let someone almost die.
That's not even an exaggeration.
I purposefully waited until we got somewhat of a satisfying conclusion because yes, there is a good ending here, thankfully. And what
You know what, I appreciate that they waited until they had at least some sort of end to the story, because there are just so many YouTubers that will just immediately just share all of the information that they hear as soon as it comes out. It's like, well, what if there's more context that comes out? What if, you know, not in this case, but there's been a lot of cases where like drama comes out where, oh, they'll all jump against this one person, this one celebrity, this one internet personality, and then more information comes out and then the script is flipped. It's completely flipped of like, oh, never mind, they were the bad guy. That didn't happen in this situation. So I appreciate when people are like, hang on, this is still a developing story. Let's wait until like all or a lot more information has come out and more of the dust is settled. This is still ongoing, but I think it was a good time for them to release this video.
Ended up happening to the corporation, or what is currently happening, is hilarious. This is gonna be a roller coaster, so strap in. Alright, so here's the deal. To really understand the severity of the situation, you have to understand the ecosystem of VTubing in general. The biggest players in VTubing often are associated to a corporation. These corporations tend—
Hey, wait a minute, where's Cookie Swirl? Where's Cookie Swirl? I've told y'all that where's the biggest one? Where's the biggest VTuber? Where's Cookie Swirl, huh? Missing out.
To be from Japan, at least the biggest ones, and they kind of work like music labels, where they literally, and I mean literally, own everything. And yes, that also includes your VTuber
the fat
model.
bastard?
Okay, this one in particular is fan made.
I mean, I don't know what. I don't know what that is.
Point. They own what makes you.
I don't know what that is.
And it goes without saying, they also have access to all your social media accounts. They have the passwords. They can do whatever they want. They can delete whatever they want. It's up to them completely. Yep. People will sign with them anyway, though, because they're attracted by the idea of this network, of these resources, of all the stuff that the corporation can do for them. Just like how musicians will still sign with music labels. Currently, the two biggest corporations in VTubing are Hololive and Nijisanji. Hololive is owned by its parent company, Cover, and Nijisanji is owned by its parent company, Anycolor. Now, you probably already know this by now from the title of this video and where we're heading with this, but the corporation at the center of this incident is Nijisanji's English branch, which is of course owned by Anycolor. But one thing you might not know is just how much Anycolor is worth. When it was put on the Japanese stock exchange in 2022, the worth of the company was at $2.5 billion. That's American dollars.
What?
Yeah, it pays to have anime girl.
Wait. Okay, wait. Because Anycolor is the parent company. Do they have other subsidiaries that are adding on to that? Because like Nijisanji, regardless of like what people are thinking about it one way or the other, they do have a lot of assets and money going into it. But I don't think that Vox and everybody else are worth $2.5 billion. There's got to be other stuff, right? Are they counting his yachts? Because that's not fair if they're counting his yachts.
Avatars talk in front of a camera. VTubing's main source of revenue always came from Japan, but in 2020, during the pandemic's peak of loneliness, Nijisanji and Hololive saw an
VTuber agencies.
English-speaking weebs. That's when the main culprit of the hour was created, which is Nijisanji's English branch. Selen was in the second ever English branch wave, which is—
Wait, Sony owns 43% of the shares? I missed that. Sony branching out. Are we gonna soon get a Sony VTuber like ambassador? What would that even look like? It's probably going to look like, look up the Rule 34 of like, what is it called? The PlayStation 5 controller. It's out there. Maybe they can make it look like that.
Obsidia. She's right here, as you can see.
Yep,
but before even joining Nijisanji, she used to be known as Doki Bird. Initially, she was drawing Twitch emotes, and then started streaming. People loved her wacky personality, and she was just having fun. She then joined Nijisanji's English branch under Obsidia alongside Roseby Lovelock and Petra Gurin. She was in love with the game Apex Legends. She would play that whenever she could. People quickly fell in love with her personality, and she was truly known to care about her fans way too much, often making big sacrifices to make them happy. She called them her Dragoons. But you know what? Since her first stream in July of 2021 with Nijisanji, things were going really well. Or at least, that's what people thought. Because at the end of 2023, news would come out that would turn the VTuber community upside down. It all started on Christmas Day, a day you're meant to enjoy with family. It couldn't have gone worse. The trigger for this entire catastrophe? A music video. Selen had worked on a music video for her fans. She paid $15,000.
Okay, well, to pause right here, this is not necessarily the trigger. I think this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Because there were incidences before this, if I'm not mistaken, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But there were issues of her having to pay out of pocket that even people heard about beforehand, where she had to pay people out of pocket for like contests or wanting to do contests that were then scrapped or wanting to do other projects that were then just completely, mishandled by management or stopped completely. And it just seemed like management was then getting in front of them or getting in front of her for a lot of the projects that she wanted to do, or her having to then fund a bunch of the projects that they even approved, but she would have to pay for herself. So this was like a long strain of incidences, if I'm not mistaken. But the music video was then the final nail in the coffin for then having just a spiral of issues. So it's like the shooting of Franz Ferdinand tension was already high. This was yes, it's like that. The shooting of Franz Ferdinand did not cause World War I. It was just the final event that just set off the powder keg. Like, if the other issues before that didn't happen, the shooting would have been bad, but I don't think it would have started World War I. But it was that final little detonation that caused everything to go tits up. So
$1,000 out of her own pocket because Nijisanji wouldn't fund it. And on top of not funding it, what do? They take down the video in under 24 hours. No explanation to the public. Remember what I said about corporations and how they have access to all social media of their VTubers? Yeah, that's what happened, and she couldn't do anything about it. All she could realistically do under the very tight contracts and NDAs of a corporation is make up a vague tweet, sort of explaining what's going on to her fans. In it, she says, "Hello, I apologize, but management has privated the song. Please."
That's mismanagement. I mean, that's just misinformation. That's misinformation. What are you saying? The management privated the song from an official statement by Nijisanji. They said that you were spreading misinformation when you said this because actually management privated the song. If you don't get that reference, they made an announcement not too long ago where they were like, oh, Selen made a lot of misinformed comments. For example, she said that management privated the song. And then later in that same document, they then say management had to private the song. Like, that's literally what happened. And in the same document, they say, no, but she said misinformation, yet they admitted that that's true. It makes no sense.
Please feel free to re-upload since a lot of money and effort was done by so many Dragoons, her fans. I'm really sad that this happened on Christmas, but I hope somehow you guys will still be able to listen to it in some way. So I should mention that even at this point, many fans were asking Nijisanji to treat their talent better and to stop giving Selen such a hard time, okay? Even before all the stuff you're about to see, this was already a pressing issue. Her fans could already tell that this was getting to Selen. I mean, it is heartbreaking to lose so much hard work just like that.
Oh, yeah.
So they were understandably worried about her mental state, but no one could have been ready for what would happen 2 days after the music video got taken down. Because out of nowhere on December 27th, she tweets,
okay, is he going to mention? Let me get this. Is he going to mention the apostrophe? If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's see if he says it. If he doesn't, I will fill in the blanks, but I'm wondering, will he mention this apostrophe right here? Because it's very important. It's very important.
On her account, I apologize for the silence. I've been in the hospital after an accident and will be staying there for a few days to be under supervision. I just got back access to my phone yesterday. That's not something you want to see your favorite VTuber ever tweet out. Now look, at the time, her Dragoons did what any good fans would, wishing her good health, of course being worried, but hoping for the best. What many
that's his mouse on the screen.
I thought that was mine. In this tweet that's very weird and off-putting. The Japanese apostrophe.
He did it.
As you can see from this tweet here by VT Screens, there are two examples of two different tweets, both made by another VTuber in the Nijisanji English branch called Anna Alouette. In the first tweet, a normal apostrophe is used, but in the second, a quote-unquote Japanese apostrophe is used, signifying that the first tweet was tweeted by her and that the second tweet was tweeted by her management team. The implications of such an accusation is just beyond what any of us can process. This already
the 4chan schizos were right.
A catastrophe, a disaster by every magnitude. But at the time, the only people who really knew what was going on were Selen, her emergency contact, we'll get into that later, Nijisanji, her parents, and her lawyer. But as far as everyone else was concerned, her fans, and even her closest friends, their only source of updates were her tweets. So 4 days after being hospitalized, she tweets, "Thank you to everyone for the support since I've been gone. I'm discharged from the hospital and my parents are helping me after my accident. Thank you to my Dragoons for all the kindness and support. I will keep trying my best in the new year. You are what keeps me going." Now, of course, people were happy she was out of the hospital, but the concern was still there. It was very vague and people didn't know what was going on. But unfortunately, as you might have concluded from watching this video so far, things only got worse. 2 weeks after Selen's hospitalization, Nijisanji's English branch tweets, "Due to unforeseen reasons, we would like to announce that Selen Tatsuki will not be able to participate in any activities at Anime Impulse Los Angeles 2024 on January 13th to 14th. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience and disappointment caused to fans who have been looking forward."
I don't remember this one.
And then they detailed that the fans were going to get refunds. Now, all the replies here couldn't care less about the event and are all hoping for Selen's recovery. They're very supportive and are pretty much just giving their thoughts and prayers to her. But this was the first time since she got out of the hospital that we got any form of updates on her, and it's been 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, okay, like, I know what happened. I know a little bit what happens later on. Welcome, Mega Lego. But this, like, in isolation, if we go back in time, with this one, this would be a nothing. This would be nothing to me. Because, like, she was in the hospital. And then she wouldn't be able to go, unforeseen incident, wouldn't be able to go to Anime Impulse and everything. Like, of course, like, yeah, she just got out of the hospital. I wouldn't want her to go to, like, an Anime Impulse or anything. That would make sense to me. So this wouldn't raise any red flags in this scenario of it first coming out and not knowing what's going to happen later on. So, like, this, in the moment, I would have been like, you know, that makes sense. I try to be level-headed about it, but it doesn't stay that way, obviously.
People were starting to get worried. So another
You wouldn't say I just kept accessing the phone, but I just get access back to my phone. Yeah.
She tweeted that she got out of the hospital. So at this point, patience started to run real thin, okay? Prompting her fans to rally around the hashtag #WhereIsSelen on Twitter, demanding answers just to know that she's okay, alive and breathing. This is the tweet that started it. If this statement comes off as asking for too much as a fan, I apologize, but I and many other Dragoons have been worried about her well-being, and I think it's gone long enough to not hear from Nijisanji directly. The most important thing to understand here is that at this point, even if you watched VTubers she interacted with, they wouldn't mention her. Nijisanji, her corporation, who has a responsibility to represent her, wouldn't mention her either. It was absolute radio silence. And what's even worse is that her close friends didn't even know what was going on either. Just 1 day after the hashtag started trending, a friend of Selen, RPR, said, "It's been over a month of pure silence and is starting to get concerning. It would be nice to know where and how Selen is doing at the very least."
Does this, like, I would love to know y'all's opinion. Does this happen within, like, other types of fandoms beyond VTubing? Because I don't think it does. Because I get where they're coming from. Like, they're wanting to know an update because they care about her and they want to know where she's at. But if she's, like, been in the hospital or she's, I hope you don't get mobbed by the first comment. But if she's, like, you know, in the hospital, coming out of the hospital, or anything like that, I would understand not wanting to be on social media and maybe the company for friends not getting updates or wanting to have information about like where they're at, just wanting to like just stay away from social media. It, again, knowing where this goes, it's not that good. But I feel like this isn't something that happens outside of the VTuber fandom where, an uploader was like, oh, they haven't uploaded in a while. We like, are you okay? Are you dead? Are you okay? Because they had valid reasons to be concerned, but also let people take time off when they can. Again, we know where this is going, but in isolation events, I always wonder about that. I don't think other fandoms really care to post about until they come back. Yeah. It just seems, which again, they care and it was a bad situation. So I know where they're coming from, but I usually will just like wait for an update instead of trying to like, demand getting an update. And I know where they're coming from. It's from the heart, but still, what if the company stole her media so she wouldn't act with her fans? That is also a possibility. And that makes sense also for the concern of this being a corporate entity of like, what if they did that? What if she can't communicate because she's literally unable to? That would be a concern. Is this yes, this is the VTuber drama. So let's see where else this goes.
Things were starting to heat up, but of course, in the VTuber community, nothing is really one-sided, even when it comes to something like this. Some people still manage to find wrong things with that tweet and with that hashtag, defending Nijisanji and defending Selen's privacy. This shows that Nijisanji's English branch has huge problems because when a talent of theirs says they've been hospitalized and then disappears for a month, you can't just not say anything. You can't just let the fan base fight within itself. That's gross mismanagement. But there's always a but.
Well, I mean, if let's say she just had a welcome Drago. Let's say that she just had just an unfortunate medical emergency unrelated to what we know actually happened. Let's go into an alternate timeline where she's actually fallen ill or she needs to have surgery and they don't want to give off any information or she can't consent to giving information. What would the company have to do? Let's make an assumption of in an alternate universe where Nijisanji is managed very well. What would we expect for them to do in said situation to like, be respectful of her privacy and not give any updates that maybe she didn't sign off of or approve? Hopefully she wasn't worrying about the fans from the post. That's like the last thing on her mind. Yeah. I hope she was focusing on herself during that time. Absolutely. Is there a quick summary I can get? So in this one, there is a VTuber that went into the hospital right now. She had a lot of stuff happen to her behind the scenes and her stuff got taken down and now she's in the hospital and people are wondering where she is. That's the quick update. So a generalized statement should be fine. Yeah, I guess you could maybe get that. I guess, but in a situation where she can't give consent to that, I would be, from a management standpoint, worried about going too far beyond. What if they did an off-screen graduation? I don't know. Is she sick? You'll find out. So I always try to find a middle ground on this, though I'm not in favor of Nijisanji because, as we know, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. But I always try to wonder, there's always a middle ground to a lot of things. In this case, not as much, obviously, but I'm trying to think of if things were different, would we expect to get these types of updates? So I'm just wondering.
The story, if you think this has been mismanagement so far, buddy, now we're getting into the meat.
Yeah, this is where we get into I can't even find like a devil's advocate.
After the Where Is Selen hashtag was created, all of Selen's videos on her YouTube channel were privated, including past VODs. Her Twitter was privated as well, all simultaneously, and then a mega-sized nuclear bomb drops on everyone's heads. The Selen Tatsuki termination notice.
Black text on a white background.
This was so massive that the day it happened, it was everywhere on Twitter. Even if you didn't follow VTubers, you probably have seen something in reference to this incident. But before we get into why this is one of the most badly written termination notices I've ever seen in my life, one thing to keep in mind. There are two ways a VTuber can leave an agency. The first one is graduation, in which they pretty much leave
What's
on
with the
amicable
nerd
terms,
emoji?
and they make it a celebration, which is why they call it a graduation. They have a graduation stream to say goodbye, and everyone lives happily ever after. Termination, on the other hand, is what happens to someone like Rioran, where the company claims that they breached the contract in one way or another, so they're being fired. So just imagine, okay, you're a fan, you've been waiting 1 month to hear back from Selen after she was hospitalized, and her company comes in and says, yeah, you know what, she's fired. Excuse me, what? Like, what? And of course, they also got community noted, but we'll get into that later. First, the terribly written termination notice. This is a very vaguely, very badly translated termination letter. We don't really get any specific reason as to why she got terminated, just very vague ones. I mean, look at this. They say that Selen has repeatedly violated the activity.
Yeah, technically they were like
activity
expelled.
Rules is something that all VTubers have to comply with under Nijisanji, right? But then when you read into what the activity rules actually were, they say they encompass a wide range of issues, such as non-compliance with rights confirmation and authorization flows. What does that even mean? What are we talking about, a jet engine or a VTuber's termination? But many of the things they were talking about in the first page are redundant because they're spoken about in the second page in more detail, and most of this revolves around the music video, which is why they gave it an entire section on this termination notice. In it, they say that she posted the music video without getting proper authorization from her management team, because all relevant parties had to be okay with it. Of course, she was under the impression that she could post it because not only did she pay for the entire thing out of pocket, $15,000, but according to the community notes, Lily Pichu, the person behind the original song, had given full authorization to Nijisanji to use the song. But no, you know what? Let's take it down and not even tell the fans why it got taken down, right? So her tweet saying, management took down the video, you are free to re-upload it, also went against Nijisanji's rules. Because, hey, communication, we don't do that here, buddy. Nope. Still though, they had the gall to claim that these actions led to various misunderstandings that damaged the reputation of both AnyColor and Nijisanji.
Well, I mean, to be honest, this part is true. I don't know about this part right here, but I think this is true. These actions led to damaging the reputation of both AnyColor and Nijisanji. I think that's true. You know, the guys, this is why they tell you to be carefully read the fine print. Yep. But I don't think she was in the wrong on this stuff. But, you know, to be fair, if we just cross this part out, boom, now this is a true statement I can get behind. I can get behind this part because that is true. It did lead to the damage of the reputation, you know, but for fair reasons. For fair reasons.
EN, buddy. Listen, let me tell you something. She's not the one damaging the reputation right now. You are. Because we are getting to the darkest section of the termination notice.
Oh, and I want to preface, what I'm saying is damage to reputation. I mean fairly. Like the action that it led to things that would damage the reputation because of Nijisanji, not because of Selen. Selen didn't do anything wrong in that regard.
To calm the situation, we sought to either publicly disclose the reasons for making the music video private or have Selen Tatsuki disclose them herself. While being mindful of Selen Tatsuki's physical and mental health, management did their best to communicate not only with Selen Tatsuki herself, but also her emergency contact. However, despite frequent communication with Selen Tatsuki's emergency contact while remaining considerate of her situation, we were unable to come to an agreement on how to proceed. The decision was made to temporarily remove her access to accounts on various social media platforms and video distribution services under the name Selen Tatsuki. Dude, this is so much worse now that we know what happened. This is so badly written. So you have to ask yourself why they're even talking to her emergency contact. And you also have to understand, what does while remaining considerate of her situation even mean?
Okay, I just want to toot my own horn here, because when this was happening, the way everything was written and the tweet of I just was given access back to my phone and that type of situation being written, I had my theories, but I kept my mouth shut because if I said it, it would be very in poor taste. And two, if I was wrong, it would be in very poor taste. If you know, you know, we'll get to it. But it was, the writing on the wall was there, but I was like, I hope I'm not right. I hope I'm not right. So, but yeah, this is poorly written, and they can't even be like a bad guy agency in this situation because you think that they would at least be smart enough to know, like, hey, doing a termination would be bad optics. We want to get rid of her, but maybe we should wait until she's, you know, fully recovered, and then we talk about having an amicable graduation to save face. They can't even be bad Like, that would have made at least more sense. It's still in a bad situation. Like, this is still bad for Nijisanji, but they can't even think of the best way to be assholes in this situation. It's so weirdly how bad they were mismanaged. Oh my god. This sounds like it's going to be a super sad ending. Don't you worry. It's not. It's not. Better Call Saul with this situation. Nijisanji just can't do anything right, even be bad right. It's just, ugh. I hope you understand what I mean, because I'm fully against Nijisanji on this.
In any case, you couldn't stay curious about this, because then there's another bombshell in the last paragraph of the notice. Despite our efforts, Selen Tatsuki demanded that any color should be held legally responsible. It means she's suing them. She claimed that she was no longer able to engage in her activities as a liver due to the decisions made by any color, was being harassed by other affiliated livers due to mismanagement, etc. By the way, as if it's like a little thing that you should ignore, while refusing to acknowledge her responsibility for violating the activity rules. Moreover, Selen Tatsuki insisted that if the negotiations did not progress, she would proceed to release a statement regarding her claims to the public. This little sentence sparked a war on Twitter, okay? The fact that she was being bullied internally?
Who is it?
Who the hell thought that this letter was gonna make Nijisanji look better in this situation?
Yeah.
Because you know what the cherry on top is? Even Selen had no idea. She saw the termination notice as everyone else was seeing it too.
Yeah, that's real bad.
So she got back on her Doki Bird account, and what she said is probably the worst thing to come out of this entire controversy. The attempt she made on her life.
Yeah.
I will not be silenced anymore. On December, I was hospitalized for an attempt that was caused by a buildup of bullying from within and being in a toxic and poor environment for numerous months that led to my breaking point. I requested to leave first, but on more neutral terms on the 26th of January. So yeah, this bullying that Nijisanji mentioned so lightly actually caused her to almost lose her life.
Yeah.
But no, guys, we gotta terminate her. She's too much of a stain on our reputation. This is what I mean when I say this needs to be taught at universities. This could not
poor
have
management
been handled in a worse way. You have one of your top talents almost end their own lives.
Yep, Psycho
over
Panda
a toxic
it is.
environment at your company. And your concern.
She didn't do it, or she didn't
reputation?
succeed. I don't know to what extent it was, but she did not. She is still alive.
This is what ruined your reputation, buddy. This right here, the fact that so many people saw this tweet and understood what a terrible company you are. I mean, seriously. So far we understood that she was bullied internally.
You want to kick the CEO in the nuts?
This, and still wanted to actually go through a friendly graduation, saying goodbye to her fans without any more drama. But now that we know all this information, we have to take a step back on something very important. So here's the thing.
Yeah, so all of the stuff I was saying of like, in isolation, I can see how this would be, that we shouldn't jump to conclusions. See, all of that now goes out of the window. Because as soon as we know this information, all that stuff of like, oh, in isolation, this seems like it might not be bad. Now it's really bad. Now it's really bad. You see? You see?
Nijisanji self-reported themselves in the notice by admitting something they probably shouldn't have. As this Reddit post points out, Niji stated they stripped Selen's access from all accounts on December 26th.
Yep,
so
here
these
it goes.
2 tweets were written by staff impersonating her. Going back to the whole point of the Japanese apostrophe. So you're telling me that someone on your team tries to end their lives, and the day after they do, when they're in the hospital, you tweet on their behalf. And then you also have the gall to announce that they got out of the hospital, they're with family, speaking directly to their fans, looking forward to the new year. And you actually think this is a good idea?
Yeah, I don't know why they thought that, like, if you want to make an announcement to at least, dissuade the fans, make it on the Nijisanji account. Just do that. Why pretend to be Selen when you can just go on Nijisanji's account and say, hey, to all Selens, like you can at her or something to give them something, and then lie. Then lie. Sure, it's still bad, obviously, but oh my god, like the amount of hoops they have to jump through to make that think that this is a good idea is just ridiculous. This is just poor mismanagement. Like, every bad guy company in fiction is looking at this and going like, wow, and I thought we were bad at being bad guys. Like, you guys even suck.
This is Nijisanji doing a very great job of personifying exactly why people hate corporations to begin with, because they just see you as a number, and this is a perfect example of that. Furthering this point of not giving a single shit about anyone in the company, they threw all their talent, all their VTubers under the bus when they said that there was bullying and harassment and didn't give any names, because after it got out that Selen almost died because of this, people started speculating in the worst possible way about who was bullying her. They started unsubbing from all other Nijisanji English branch VTubers. As you can see from this tweet here, I need names. Now, whoever was allegedly harassing her from the livers needs to be known, because if I support them, I do not want to any further. And many of them took a quote-unquote social media break, also with the Japanese apostrophe in those tweets announcing the break.
Shit!
Because things were getting out of hand. However, at this point, one thing was certain. Nijisanji fucked up big time. So now is when shit starts to go down. In very ironic Nijisanji mismanagement fashion, they forgot to unmod Selen's mods on her YouTube channel. So to raise awareness about the situation, they created a live stream that was never meant to go live and just spammed the chat with links to Doki Bird's channel, saying Nijisanji fucked up, they did not remove my mod. Please subscribe to Doki Bird on that stream chat on YouTube. The hashtag Sink the Yacht started trending as well. Sink the yacht! This meant that people wanted to sink the yacht of the billionaire CEO of Nijisanji. After Nijisanji had caught wind of the rogue mods, they went and did the same thing in her Twitch channel. But wait a second, now that I'm looking at this picture, I just realized, why did this person resub for 28
what
months?
the fuck?
Are they not aware Selen got terminated? Can
she doesn't get that money,
please? As you can see, everyone is spamming Sink the Yacht. Someone also added Nijisanji to the list of Japanese black companies, aka a black corporation or black business is a Japanese term for an exploitative, sweatshop type employment system.
Black company?
As this was all going on, many people were coming out and saying that they were not going to work with Nijisanji anymore due to this. So here we can see a Clipper channel saying this. Here we can see a merch company doing this. They've worked with Nijisanji for years. And also Height, who makes PCs and had a huge collab planned with Nijisanji, straight up canceled it. Now look, you're not going to believe me when I say this, and you know what? You're right. But trust me on this. Even after all this, okay, Nijisanji still managed to make it even worse.
Impossible.
Yes, I know, but it's the truth. They released this on their investor relations page.
Oh, I know this.
The decision to terminate the affiliation contract with the Nijisanji English Liver on our financial results. This was 2 days after the termination, mind you. On February 5th, 2024, Any Color made the decision to terminate our affiliation contract with the Nijisanji English Liver, Selen Tatsuki. The impact of this decision on our financial results will be negligible.
Oh my god.
You had someone almost kill themselves, leave. You didn't even tell them that they're leaving. You terminated them even though they wanted to leave on friendly terms. And this is what you have to say with everyone protesting.
I should react to the Nijisanji CEO talking about the termination. Wait, the CEO talked about the termination? Oh fuck, I haven't heard of that.
Never released a statement like this before on a termination, ever. Even Goldman Sachs had something to say about this.
What?
Assuming minor earnings impact from VTuber contract termination. Any Color's share price has fallen for consecutive days after it announced on February 5th that it had terminated the contract of Nijisanji English streamer Selen Tatsuki. We see minimal impact on company-wide earnings from terminating the contract of one VTuber. And they argued that because the Nijisanji English segment accounted for only 19% of company-wide sales, they wouldn't be affected that much. Imagine taking financial advice from Goldman Sachs.
I mean,
because they kind of were, not just a little bit, quite a lot. Because as you can see from this chart here, this wasn't a minimal loss of market value. Their share price tumbled 10% throughout the course of this whole controversy. This is the graduation announcement, it tumbled. Then they thought, okay, we saw the worst of it, we're cool. And then ironically, on the 7th, they put out the document saying, hey, this financial impact's gonna be negligible, guys, don't worry. And then...
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right here because I love stocks. This means nothing. Do you know how many different companies or different stocks will tumble randomly? Like, oh, dude, look, they were completely wrong. You cannot determine that from like a one-day thing. You can't look at this and be like, oh, dude, look, they said that it's going to be minimal. Oh, and then it went down. They were wrong. That's not how stocks work. Skip ahead if you don't want to see this or see this, but let me look up like Any Color stock. Let's just look at that. So like if we look at 1 month, it has been down about 4.5%, or about 4%, sorry. It's been down 4%. And then if I look up cover court stock and we look like where it is with a month, it's following a similar trend. It's following a similar trend right now. Both of the companies are following very similar trends in terms of percentage ups and downs. That maybe it's because even cover is being financially impacted by this in terms of people freaking out about it. Maybe, but you can't look at the stock market in like a month scale even and be like, yep, they're fucked, because that's not how it works. Yeah, you have to think long term with stocks. Like Moist Critical, when he talked about a long time ago when some pharmaceutical had a fake tweet sent out and then the thing went down and it was like, oh, look, the tweet caused it. The tweet didn't cause that pharmaceutical to lose money. It was completely unrelated because the fall happened a day later. That's not how the stock market works. The stock market, if something's going to impact it, it impacts it that moment, and it doesn't even matter in the moment for that one impact. What matters is long term. So this this portion of like this graph of like, look, they've lost so much money, they haven't lost shit. From this, it hasn't lost it. If you want to make Nijisanji change, the unfortunate fact of the matter is that if you're a fan of Nijisanji, you will probably have to stop supporting Nijisanji in a lot of other ways. Like if you have a different, like let's say you weren't a big fan of Selen, but you hate how she was treated, and you're a big fan of this other Nijisanji VTuber. You may have to stop giving money to that VTuber because that money goes to the company. Just being like, oh, this is bad, and then continuing to give money to your VTubers that you are fans of in Nijisanji is just going to funnel more stuff into it. So, yeah. So is Nijisanji the bad guy or the CEO? The company is the bad guy. Some of the livers have done some bad things. Apparently, we don't have names though. But right now it's the CEO / the company. Livers, we don't know who has caused what issues. Yeah, so many others have unsubbed from that. Well, unsubbing is, that sucks. But you need to also make sure you don't continue to give money to those livers. Yeah, and yeah, so that it's just being outraged and then continuing to give money to the company through other VTubers isn't going to make them change. You have to. And that sucks, because what if your favorite VTuber didn't have anything to do with this in Nijisanji? What if they're like, if they didn't do anything, they weren't that mean to Selen? That sucks, but you're going to have to impact the company somehow. Somehow. Okay, let's keep going.
Boom! Minus 10%.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. It really grinds my gears when people brought up like a one-day market change and say that means something.
Worth over $2 billion.
It doesn't matter.
But losing 10% of your stock price will never ever look good for any investor. Any color believes terminating Selen.
Unless you're gonna buy it. Unless you're gonna buy. If you're gonna buy, oh, that's great.
Tatsuki won't negatively impact finance.
Yeah, this is just uninformed.
-10%.
This is uninformed in terms of how
crazy.
stocks work.
But while this is looking very rough for Nijisanji right now, the good news is that it's not the case for Doki Bird. It's a happy ending for her, thankfully.
Yeah.
She got a manager, and she cried when they told her that from now on she can actually get sponsors to fund her projects instead of paying everything out of pocket. You see, it turns out that she spent over $200,000 just last year funding her own projects that Nijisanji would not fund themselves.
I wish I had $200,000 to spend.
She made
damn, she is dedicated.
Last year.
Good for her.
That's how crazy it was. Her return stream that was done a few days after she came back on her Doki Bird account had over 120,000 concurrent viewers for like 2 hours straight. It didn't drop at all. And if you're not familiar with streaming, that's extremely impressive. Like esports events might get that kind of view count. And when she ended her stream, the total viewers that tuned in were around 1.1 million. And Nijisanji could have never predicted any of this because they're so stupid. They could have been by her side celebrating her success if they just supported her and didn't abandon her the way they did. But hey, she's free now and she's taking it all very well. This right here is a quote from one of her most recent streams. She said, so apparently the new Suicide Squad, oh, very poor choice of name considering recent events. Anyway, so she's taking it really well, which is great. She also did a vote to see what she should call her viewers now that she's Doki Bird again, and they all voted Dragoons. And she said, well, screw it. It's not like it's copyrighted anyway.
Oh, well, there you go. As long as she checked with her lawyer.
Dragoons live on. Meanwhile, this just came out very recently. Nijisanji is still struggling to keep this crisis under control. There was a huge Mario Kart 8 event planned with many of their VTubers, and they postponed it. Because in their words, they want to dedicate our full attention to prioritizing and ensuring the quality of our livers' well-being.
AKA put out some fires internally.
How ironic is that, dude? Where were you when Selen needed your support? Very good question. This just seems like crazy damage control, and I doubt anything in management will change. I hope it does, but for the most part, it's just...
Like I said, if you want management to change, you have to hurt them in the wallet. The fall in stock prices, that can rebound. That can rebound. It really can. If you want to make it change, you have to hurt them in the wallet. Which is awful because there are VTubers in the company that have nothing to do with this. It really does. But unless they give names of who it was that was caused some of these problems internally, you have to just limit how much you give to the company. And that sucks. It really does. But it probably in this situation for the best, so that even the VTubers in the organization can then get better treatment.
Just another corporation. Because just one day after she got terminated, they posted merch announcements.
Oh, fuck. Really?
I don't think anything's gonna change. Wait, I feel like my dog communicates and understands better than this company. Oh my god. Look, if you're a viewer or a VTuber, there are two things you should take away from all this controversy. The first one being never, ever, under any circumstances, trust a corporation. And the second lesson, which I think is way more important than the first one, is that no matter how bad things are looking for you right now, there's never any circumstance in which you should attempt to take your own life. Less than 2 months ago, Doki almost took her own life because of how bad things were. And now, less than 2 months later, she is the happiest she could have ever been, never able to guess that she'd be here right now. So if you also feel like you're at the darkest point of your life, just tell yourself this: hold on a while longer. In a month from now, you could be the happiest person ever. Hey, you got this.
Never give up.
Don't give up. Let's go. Thank you so much for watching. This is the longest video I've ever made. I'm curious to see how it does. I also revealed my VTuber recently during this whole drama. I know, perfect timing. Make sure to check it out on Twitter.
He planned it. He did this. It was him. He caused all of this drama so he could make a video and then promote that he has a VTuber model. It was a 300 IQ play. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. They did. Thank yous. Yeah. Thank you, Patches. You're not wrong. They did have a stream where they were talking about it, and now we kind of seem to know who those bullies are. If you want to look it up, look up look into it, and you'll probably find. I don't want to name any names here because it could be wrong. I don't want to do any speculation myself, but it's a bad situation.
And I'll see you in the next video. I love you so much. Mwah.
Go check out Doki Bird. I'll try to put a link to their channel down below, as well as obviously a link to this video and this channel in the description down below. But yeah, things can always get better. Talk to somebody. Please. Definitely talk to somebody about all this. So, but do let me know what you think of this situation, or what you think of some of the things that I said, because I love to be more informed and, you know, hear everyone's opinions down below. And if there's any other VTuber type content, hopefully it's happy. Well, this was a happy ending, but hopefully happier stuff. If there's other VTuber content you want me to watch, you know, definitely leave it down in the comments below. But, you know, until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye.